All right, what's up, y'all? It's Wooly here. So today I want to talk about electric DPS. We're going to talk about AoE and we're going to talk about single target. Um, really quickly, I will show you the parsers for AoE. Then we will talk about the allies, the artifacts, the tactical mods, all of that. And then I will talk to you about single target. And then I will show you the swaps that I do for artifacts. You don't have to do those. Um, I'll show you the main three artifacts that you need, but swaps do help, and I will try to dive into that if we have time. So really quickly, let's take a look at the loadout, because I know that's what you're here for. Tesla Ball, Electrostatic Bomb, Voltaic Blast, Arc Lightning, and Electrogenesis, and then of course Circuit Breaker. And that's how we're going to run left to right. We're going to run just like that, okay? We don't use Robot Sidekick. I do have it spec'd, but honestly, Electrogenesis works much better in its place. It keeps the parsers up, and that's what we like to see, because ultimately, it's not about how high you can get your parsers. Like, you can parse all day at the single target, right? But it's not how high you can get your parsers, it's how high you can get them and keep them there consistently, okay? Um, because burst damage is what really matters in the hallways, and you want to get as high as you can, as quick as you can, and hit as many um, dots and just burst damage as you can, okay? So that's how we work this loadout. So how we're going to do it, we're going to start with Electrogenesis, and then we're going to go into Tesla Ball, Electrostatic Bomb, Voltaic Blast, and Arc Lightning. Okay, and like I said, we'll cover artifacts, allies, tac mods, all of that. Let's take a look at the actual rotation here, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna stop there. Pretty straightforward. That is the AoE parser right there. Um, as long as you stay on it, you can get up there pretty high. You do a lot of damage very quickly. I'll leave the parsers up so you can check it. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so as far as the allies, we're going to be running Black Adam as our combat ally. If you don't have him, just use whatever you got. Cyborg is a good option there. Okay, but that's what I'm running on my combat ally. It's Black Adam. If you don't have him, just use Cyborg or whatever you have. My passive DPS, we are going to be running Aquaman. We are going to be running the second ability using a supercharge ability. Reduces the combat allies cooldown relative to the supercharge. So in this case, I'm running a 5,000 supercharge. You can see there. That's a 3-second cooldown, meaning as soon as I pop my supercharge, it takes 3 seconds off the cooldown of my combat ally, in this case, Black Adam. So as soon as I pop my supercharge, I take 3 seconds off of Black Adam's cooldown so I can call him out again. And then, of course, we are going to be running Shazam with the Power of Shazamly passive. So activating an ally's combat ability grants 5% might and 2.5% precision for 30 seconds. So we call down Black Adam. As soon as we use a supercharge, we knock 3 seconds off of his cooldown. And then when we summon him, we get 5% might for 30 seconds. So 30 seconds is pretty substantial. For context, let's say you're using a supercharge, Neo Venom. That's 16 seconds that you are running Neo Venom. So 30 seconds, it's basically the same thing as running, a supercharge that buffs your overall power. You have 30 seconds where you are dealing steady damage. And of course, we're running Circuit Breaker. It's a super quick cooldown, so we're getting a 5% boost to our might at all times. But of course, mine is at level 8. That's why it's at 5%. So if yours is at a lower level, you're going to get a slightly lower percent. But even so, you got that 6%. You're still going to be getting a pretty decent buff. Okay, so that's the allies. And that's what I run. That's what I run on AoE, and that's what I run on single target. So, and before I go into single target, these are the artifacts. We're going to be running Strat card, Quizlet, Transformation card. Same thing on AoE and single target. I've done a lot of testing, and I can tell you that running single target with Quizlet, you're going to get the same numbers as you would with Heat Vision. The only difference is that you're going to be getting the 1% supercharge back with Quizlet plus his AoE damage. So there's not too much difference there other than the percent back, pretty much. So the artifacts are the same for AoE as they are for single target. So on single target, we're going to be running Tesla Ball, Heat Vision, Arc Lightning, Ionic Drain, and then we are going to be running Robot Sidekick. If you're not happy with the Robot Sidekick, you feel like he's dying a lot, just swap him out for Electrogenesis right here. It really does amp up your damage, but in this case, we're just going to go ahead and run him. I try not to run him in elite raids just because he dies a lot. But if I do choose to run him, I put him here on single target only, okay? And then, of course, we're going to be running Circuit Breaker. So it's going to be left to right, pretty much. All right, let's go ahead and stop there. So the parses are pretty decent. You can get up pretty high. Now the way I have my loadouts set up, it's from a lot of work over the last couple of years being electric on and off, right? The only difference is we are kind of accentuating it with the artifact swaps, because here's the thing. Outside of using Strat card, Quizlet, Trance card, we're going to be using Dead King, we're going to be using Mercy, and we're going to be using Eye of Gemini. Okay, Eye of Gemini is still very good. If people are telling you it's not, they're wrong. That's all there is to it. All you got to do, it's not something that you're going to main. It's not something that you're going to keep on. It's just something that you're going to swap. Pop your supercharge, swap it back out. That's it. And the reason we swap trans card is so that we don't lose our strat procs. Because as soon as you take strat off, you lose its procs. You lose damage. So it's best to just swap trans card in and out. Okay. So with, let's say, a single target, right? We are going to do it on heat vision, swap it in and out, and then we're going to do it on our finisher, swap it in and out. All right, so I'm just going to stop there because I just wanted to kind of demonstrate to you guys. Now you see the difference, right? When we are running just our standard single target, we get pretty decent numbers, 1.5, 1.6. We even got up to 1.9. But you see when we are swapping Dead King, or DK as we call it, twice, swap it on heat vision, and then we swap it on the finisher, our parsers are much higher, 1.8, 1.8, 1.9. Honestly, if you get really good with it and you practice, if you're on boss, like you're on boss damage and you have time to just let that damage phase just run and run and run and run, and escalating might build up, you can get up to 2.2, 2.3 on single target. So you're going to be hitting very good numbers on boss damage with it. Pretty solid. That's really it, right? So that's how Dead King works. Now, as far as swapping, now also when you drop it, you want to drop it while it's on, right? And then when I don't have it equipped, right, but you still see it coming down. So when you have your Dead King at 200, you can see orbital assistance has a chance on hit to call down an orbital beam, dealing additional damage to the target. This pretty much happens for 30 seconds, but this only happens when your artifact is at 200. So when it's at 200, aside from swapping it in and out, when you call it down at 200, you get it to run pretty much at, for 30 seconds. It'll keep dropping that orbital. Now, the reason you swap it in and out isn't just to get it to proc. It isn't just to get it to go off, because when you swap it in and out, it does proc and it does start dropping those beams, but that's not the only reason you do that. The reason you do that is so that you cool it down. Okay. And you can see it also reduces the cooldown of your stat buff, your combat pet, your henchman, and your supply drop trinket. So this works in tandem with everything else in your build, and it helps to cool it down quicker, which in turn is going to get you more damage. And that's why you swap your Dead King in and out. So you do it for the extra damage that you get from the orbital assistance and the actual proc that it does, and also the cooldown. And that's why you swap your Dead King in and out. Now, just to be clear, at 120, you do get the 10%. So you can swap it in and out, and you'll get some of that, some of those benefits. So if you only got enough XP to get your Dead King to 120 and you want to swap it like that, by all means, go ahead and do that, because you're going to be getting a lot out of it, okay? And then, of course, Mercy. Mercy is just when you summon your henchman and your pet trinket. Now, of course, when you summon this up close to enemies, it does AoE damage, but that's not the only reason you do it. The reason that you do it is because they also get a damage boost, a damage buff, So they're going to be hitting significantly harder, you know. And you ideally want Mercy at 160 minimum. That's when you get the shield. As you can see, mine is at exactly 160, and that's the highest that it needs to be, or sorry, the lowest that it needs to be in order to proc that shield and really take advantage of Mercy. Um, you don't have to have the protocol on or nothing like that. You just need to get it up to 160, and then you can use it. Now, if you don't have it at 160, that's fine. I still recommend using it because you're going to get that AoE damage anytime you summon it with ads around you. And it's just good to practice getting into the habit of swapping it. And then, of course, Dead King Scepter. Sorry, Philosopher's Stone. Now, mine's at 132, but 160 is where you want to be. 160 is where you get that 8-second buff. So when you drop it, and then you get that gold circle under you, you get a pretty significant buff to your overall damage, and you get power free casting, right? So those are my swaps, and that's how you do them. Now on AoE, I'm going to show you how to do Dead King on AoE here. Okay, let me come over here. So we're going to run like normal. We're going to hit Electrogenesis, Tesla Ball, Electrostatic Bomb. Okay, now you see that. When we go to Arc Lightning, we can go ahead and cast it because Arc Lightning has a kind of a longer animation that you're kind of stuck in. So while it's not as long as a finisher, it's enough to swap in and out, right? All right, let me go ahead and stop. But you get the idea, right? You can swap in and out with Dead King when you use Arc Lightning. So one more time. Now, once you get very comfortable with Dead King, you'll be doing this with your eyes closed. It does take a bit to kind of get the feel for it as far as art swapping goes, but once you get the hang of it, you'll start to understand it. Okay. And that's it. So remember, you're swapping your Dead King for the proc. You're swapping your Dead King for the cooldown. Okay. And that's it. And then, of course, we swap our trinket with our pet trinket, which in this case, I'm running the alpha box. But if you have the mother box, whatever you have, it doesn't matter. Whatever your pet trinket is, you want to swap it with your actual trinket. Okay. And that's pretty much it. So that is AoE, that single target. That's the art swaps. And then for the attack mods, they're pretty straightforward, guys. It's going to be max damage on the hands, Tumbling Master on the feet. I did use Spark Barrage here because I was using a build with Spark Barrage, but that might be good for E-Bonds. But we're not going to talk about that since we don't have our E-Bonds leveled at all. You know, mine's at 0. Escalating Might in the neck, and then of course we're going to be running Circuit Breaker in the head. And then I forgot to say the chest, we're running Penetrating Strikes here. Run whatever you want. Okay, so attack mods are up to you. And then of course my affinity mods, wearing 2 pieces of elite gear, boosts might by 1%. Type B, I was running like a hybrid build. I'm sure you saw some of those videos I posted recently running a electric DPS might hybrid build, and I was using brawling, so I had a precision in there. But if we're going to be running straight might, you just want to have might in there, okay? And then of course in my generator I have all 46.3 mods currently, because I haven't crafted any of the new ones. So I got the highest you can get from drops. But that's it, guys. This is a great loadout for AoE and single target. What really makes it is the art swaps, because of course art swaps is the thing, but by itself the loadout does still perform very well. You're not going to be hurting on the boards at all. Okay, so that's what I got for you today, guys. I hope this was helpful. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, consider sticking around. Maybe give it a like, maybe give it a sub. That's up to you. Uh, if you're a returning viewer, as always, I appreciate it, guys. I know I said I wasn't going to do any loadouts, um, but I just wanted to go ahead and share with you what I am doing with electric DPS, and hopefully you get some kind of use out of it. Just know that it can get kind of power hungry. Really quickly, I'm going to show you the skill points. Super powered, critical attack chance, critical attack damage, might and power. And then I was spec for precision with a brawling in it, just because I was doing that hybrid and I haven't changed it yet. Otherwise, I would just go ahead and put it into might. I'm sorry, into health. But yeah, you pretty much want to go super powered, crits, fill out your crits always, no matter how many skill points you have, always fill out your crits. And then might and power in this case, because we're running might. And then our augments are all going to be might. Okay, that's pretty much it. So let me know if you have any questions down below. I'll catch you next time. Willie out. Stay frosty. Peace.